he is. So Toastmaster Rajat Ray joined Ruby Toastmasters in Muscat, Oman. So he started his career in Muscat, Oman, and had moved to Calcutta just some time back. In 2019, he moved back to Calcutta along with his wife. Incidentally, both of them are Toastmasters and very well loved and well respected Toastmasters in the Calcutta Toastmaster fraternity. So he joined in 2016. He has held various positions in the club EC, secretary, VPPR, and president. He has also been an area PQD, and he has been a constant support for me when I was the area director and now being the division director, because he is a division K mentor for this term. He has also won in he has gone till the district level and had podium finishes in evaluation contest and in table topics contest, and he has competed and won in until the division level. No, sorry, he has competed till the division level for international speech contest also. The best part about Rajat is the way he conducts his workshops, and they are cherished even after the workshops are over, because I have practically heard many contestants of evaluation going through his evaluation workshop video recording before their contests. On a personal front, he's an engineer and an MBA, an engineer from IIT Kharagpur and an MBA from IIM Calcutta. He has spent around 20 years, that is around 2 decades, in Muscat in marketing and sales. And his hobbies include off-roading, writing, painting, and spiritual pursuits. And his thing for 2021 that he has started with is related to the last hobby. He has started meditation. And that meditation, maybe he can explain for 30 seconds before starting his this thing, because it's a little confusing for me to understand. So maybe we can start with that. Over to you, Rajat, for your workshop.
Thank you, Abhishek, for an introduction which is probably longer than my training session. Well, I was a big follower of Osho Rajneesh, and I liked one of his statements where he said, people normally say, don't just sit there, do something. But I say, don't just do something, sit there. And having passed through a large portion of my life, I find that I've mostly been doing something and not sitting there. So it was time to reverse it and sort of let my mind settle down a bit. So let's see where it goes. Well, to come back to our subject for today, I'm really euphoric to be invited today at your club. And it's the first time for me, and I think the first time for a lot of you as well, which is a unique thing to happen. Now, this being a table topic training session, first of all, I'd like to know that how many of you here have never delivered a table topic? Can you just raise a virtual or real hand? Okay. So some of you have, some of you haven't. So in this session, what we plan to do is, I will try to give you an idea as to how to structure a basic table topic and give some tips about how to go a little in depth into handling table topics. So you can take as much out of this training session as you feel comfortable with, and you can always come back to it later on. Session will be for around 20 minutes, and we'll follow it up with a few real table topics, and with me giving you feedback as to how perhaps what you attempted could be improved a little. So shall we start? Let me share a screen with you. All right, is Dhoni visible? Okay. Well, cricket is my favorite sport, and I'm sure if you are in Kolkata, you are to a larger or a smaller degree a cricket fan. And I will try to give some analogies to cricket as we go along in this particular training session. So if you are a cricketer and you're just starting on your journey as a batsman, the coach will usually take you through two types of practice sessions. One is a dead ball practice. I don't know whether you've seen it, where you hang a ball in the middle of a room and the coach tells you, okay, try to hit this way for a cover drive, this way for a straight. Then you get into a live ball practice where, okay, you may not have Dennis Lilly who's bowling to you, but definitely there's a ball coming out to your bat and you have to hit it. It's not a static ball. And in my opinion, in Toastmasters, A dead ball practice is like a prepared speech. And a live ball practice, well, that's table topics. Now, I personally consider table topics a superior art form than a prepared speech. And this is because of two reasons. One is, whereas in a prepared speech, you get 3 to 4 days to prepare that speech and plan what you're going to say, in a table topic, you probably get 3 to 4 seconds. So definitely a superior form of speaking. And secondly, if you consider application in real life, probably you will be asked to give a comment on a particular subject for a couple of minutes more often than you will be asked to give a prepared speech for 7 to 10 minutes. Now, whether it's among your friends, among your colleagues, relatives, office, you will continuously be asked to give some opinion. And even if they don't ask, you may want to give an opinion, a short opinion on the subject which is going on. So definitely it is very, very beneficial for us to know how to give an opinion, how to give a point of view on a topic which has just come up in front of us. So I think more than a prepared speech practice, what Toastmasters gives us an opportunity to do is to learn impromptu speaking. And that's very, very important. Now, when I personally started my journey, and I'm sure since you are starting your journey, you will come across this somewhere or the other. As a table topic speaker, I found myself facing 4 challenges. One, when I hear the topic, there are no bloody thoughts. So what do I do? How to start speaking? Mind is blank. Second, now after some time, there are too many thoughts. So we don't know which way to go, which is the focus area for speaking on. Third is, there are not enough thoughts. Now, having started speaking, I'm running out of steam after 30 seconds, after 1 minute. So how to continue speaking for a decent amount of time, maybe a couple of minutes. And fourth is, having done all that, now I'm going full steam and this red card comes up or boss tells me to shut up now. So how to wrap it up quickly? So can I see a show of hands, those who have spoken on table topics? Have you felt any of these challenges yourself? Yeah? Okay. So even if you haven't spoken on table topics, you're going to face this. So during the course of the training, let us see how we can direct our attention to these aspects and see how to deal with it. Now, before I start, I'll just tell you that, table topics which come up in Toastmasters are generally of 2 types, and their treatment may be slightly different, not much different, slightly different. One type is like the debate or the proverb type, like distance learning is the future of education, which is a debate type of topic, or honesty is the best policy is a proverb type. When life gives you lemon, make lemonade. Now, it's not a typical proverb, but it's asking for an opinion. And the others are experiential topics. That is, describe your first day at school. It's totally personal to you, and whatever you say will be accepted. Nobody has any preconceived notion that this is what the topic means. Like if you say honesty is the best policy, the audience perhaps has a preconceived notion. But describe your first day at school, obviously they don't have a preconceived notion. The field is wide open. So the way we approach it may be slightly different. So the first one is a little more rigorous. So let's look at that first. What is the basic technique? Now let me go back to my cricket analogy here. When you're learning stroke play, your coach will drill into you a particular sequence of stroke play. Now what is that? First is, he will tell you to watch the bowler. He's on his run up, how his feet are, where the ball is, watch the bowler. Second is, align with the ball. Don't be out of step, don't be cross pat, align with the ball so that you hit it right. Third is your backlift. Give power to the stroke. Fourth is the downswing, where you actually connect with the ball, sweet timing. And the fourth part of the stroke is the follow through, where you finish. Now, a table topic speech is very much like a stroke in cricket. How is that? First, The table topic coach, like I, will tell you to listen. Listen to the topic very, very hard. Second, like any typical speech, you have to open. Now, this part of the opening of the speech, the idea is to align with the topic, to make people know that you are on the ball. I'll get into a little more detail after this. The third part of your speech is what lends power and structure to your speech, which is the expansion of the logic. Now, if you have opened taking a certain point of view, you got to expand on it and explain to the audience what you actually mean. The third portion of the stroke play is illustrate. Give examples. Now, this is where, like the downswing connects with the ball, this is where you connect with the audience, because the example makes your logic come alive to the audience. And lastly, of course, you close. There is a certain closing statement to be made, which will wrap up the speech well. Now, as a coach, I will tell you to practice the structure over and over again. Open, expand, illustrate, close. Open, expand, illustrate, close. So that when the ball is coming onto the bat, when you listen to the topic and you're thinking for the 3-4 seconds, this flow starts in your mind. How do you open? How do you expand? How do you illustrate? And how do you close? Mind you, when you start speaking, all of the details may not be crystal clear in your mind. Just as to the batsman, when he starts the stroke play, the finishing part is not open, is not really obvious to him at that point, but his training takes over. It's the same in table topics. Let me go a step deeper into what each of these sections mean for you. Now, when you're listening, what are you listening for? You're listening for keywords. Like if it is honesty is the best policy, honesty, policy, these words really jump out at you because these are the words on which you're going to build your speech. So definitely some thought starts in your mind. Honesty, what does that mean to me? Policy, what does that mean to me? What is your first thought? Now, this first thought is your crossroad. I have seen a lot of table topic speakers and I've done it myself. I ignore the first thought which comes and say, no, this is not good enough. This is not interesting. Let me think of something else. Don't do that. Because the first thought which comes to your mind is a reflection of all the experience, all the value systems that are inside you on this particular subject. And if you go against it, you'll definitely not be able to carry on with steam. So when I hear this topic, honesty is the best policy, maybe to me, what jumps out is truth. Honesty, truth. Okay. Best policy, good outcome, trust. Some words will come out. And my first thought, which will form out of that is telling the truth leads to trust. That's an interpretation of the topic in another language. But you see, if you listen to your mind, this is something which will happen in your mind. Focus on the keywords. One thought will come when you think of the keyword synonyms. That is what you're going to use those 3, 4, 5 seconds in the beginning while the topic is being told and you are just sort of settling down to start speaking. When you're opening your mouth, that is to speak, now there are two sorts of advices which are given. One is you can repeat the topic verbatim. That has two purposes. One is to drive it home to your own mind what the topic is and to give you a little time to think. But it is suggested that if it's a contest, you can do a little better because this gives an impression to the judges you're buying time. So I need to paraphrase. As the first thought came, the paraphrase has happened in your mind. So say that. Instead of honesty is the best policy, say, telling the truth leads to trust. Paraphrase. And I do agree. Take a stand. Okay. So if it's a topic like this, it's important that in the opening, in the first one sentence itself, you paraphrase and take a stand. So immediately, one, it is clear to the audience and to the judges that you have understood the topic. And second, they are also clear what is the stand you're taking. Now, very experienced speakers sometimes declare that stand somewhere in the end. That's a bit risky. So if you're starting on our table topic journey, I suggest you play it simple. You just paraphrase the topic and declare the stand. Sometimes the topic may be very complicated and you may not understand the meaning, in which case you're free to redefine the topic. It's allowed. For example, if the topic is something like, the more you know, the more you don't know. Very complex statement. And you don't know what the hell that means. Redefine the topic. The more I have learned, the more I have found that there are aspects of learning which are still left for me to understand. Maybe this is what you understand from the topic. Say that. It may be a little different from what the topic master thought. Doesn't matter. As long as you have redefined in a somewhat close manner and you are basing your full speech on that, it's okay. But generally, you may not get that type of topic where you cannot understand the meaning at all. So paraphrase, take a stand. All right. So now you have stated in maybe around 20-30 seconds, you have stated your position. Now comes the time for expansion. This is where I used to get majorly stuck. Abhi to bol diya, what more to say? Now, I'll tell you a trick where you can start your mind working. Categorize. Now, what is categorize? When we say honesty is the best policy, in your mind, honesty's 2-3 synonyms have come. Trust, 2-3 synonyms have come, and you have sort of come down to a stage where you have decided, I will say that telling the truth leads to trust. Okay. Now, categorize by time, by people, by space or place in your mind. Think in childhood and in adulthood, this particular policy of telling the truth holds true. Think that whether it is in professional life or in personal relationships, that telling the truth leads to trust holds true. And express these variations. Now you can say that, whether we are a child or an adult, telling the truth stands in good stead. And nobody knows this better than a child. Have you ever seen a child tell an untruth? Because you know automatically the trust comes out of telling the truth. Even in a relationship, whether it's with a boss or with your wife, as long as they feel that you've been telling the truth, there will be trust both ways. Now, what are you doing? You're categorizing. On one hand, you're telling the audience and the judge that you're capable to analyze the topic. And second is you're sending down hooks into your mind to please think of some example. So as you speak these variations, your mind will come up with example. I'm sure when you say the child and the adult, maybe nothing comes up. But when you're talking about the relationship and a boss, some example from your own life has come up in your mind. And you lock on to that. Yeah. So when you go to illustrate, here basically through categorizing, you're also giving reason to supporting your stand. Both are happening together. Because the way I was saying in that example, a child and adult, both I find that when they do this, trust happens. And the father trusts the son when he finds he tells the truth. The son has great faith on the father when he finds that he doesn't tell lies on the phone. Things like that. So categorization and reason is going together. When you come to example, now some example has popped up in your mind. It is a good thing if you're able to give 2 examples because there's enough time. Now, how to do that? Think while speaking whether any public figure comes to mind who stands for this. And think while you're speaking, something personally has happened in your life which reflects this. Now, in this particular case, when you talk about honesty, truth, to me, Gandhi name comes to mind. And you give that example. If you take the example of Gandhiji, he garnered such wide public support, whether it was from Hindus or Muslims or Congress or whichever other party was there, practically no other party. So he could garner so much trust because people felt that he always spoke the truth. In fact, his autobiography is named Experiments with Truth. So to us, Gandhi stands for truth. And there's great trust the nation put on him. And I found this true even in my own life, that whenever I used to see my father, who was a public servant, and he was meticulously honest and truthful in whatever he did, unlike many public servants, on his On the day he passed away and there was an obituary in the papers, I got so many phone calls from people that I didn't even know, who said how sorry they were to hear of his passing, and they had maybe met him only once, and the power of his, his upstanding nature had come forth so strongly. So give a public example, give a personal story which would have come up in your mind when you were talking about the categorization. The purpose of illustration is to raise the emotional pitch of your speech. Like when you were expanding, you were going on reason. When you're illustrating, you go on emotion. And here, if possible, dramatize. Yeah. Even a personal story, even if it's a 5-6 sentence story, you're able to dramatize. Just if you're sad, say I'm sad. Bring in all the story, the prepared speech skills here in dramatizing. Now, having come up to here, now we got to close. You're given the story. Maybe you could give 2 stories or 1 story, whatever it is. Now, it's important that you summarize the points and you reiterate your stand. Yeah. So summarize the points very briefly. So you say whether it's a child or a father, whether it's a boss or a subordinate, being honest or being truthful will always stand you in good stead in building trust. Building trust is a good policy. So you have summarized the points and reiterated your stand and give a message directly to the audience. So friends, I suggest to all of you, when you're in doubt, tell the truth. Because it may be a hard road telling the truth, but ultimately it is the road which leads to contentment and light, or something like that. So give a powerful message addressed to the audience in the end. So this is your speech structure. So my suggestion would be to you, note the keywords, grab that first thought, paraphrase, categorize to help you think, give examples, and summarize and give a message in the end. When you do this again and again, this flow will come to you better and better. Initially, you'll have to think, okay, now I have to give reason. Okay, now I have to give example. But later on, it will become a little more natural. And you may even start mixing it. That is, you give a reason and an example, give another reason, another example. So that skill will come later on. But right now, in the beginning, you can take this as a structure which will help you. If I'm talking about the other experiential one, it's similar. The only difference is, since this is experiential, maybe you can give the example first. Opening will be a little different because here you're not really paraphrasing anything. Suppose the question is, which flavor do you like, vanilla or chocolate? Now, there's no interpretation here, but you can express interest in the topic. Whenever I hear about ice cream, I'm so excited. Even at this age, it makes me drool. So thank you for that topic. Okay, give that opening. You can even like. Illustration. What do you say about illustration here after having said what I like? Now, you have to think of some story in your own life where you actually tasted the ice cream. Like if we say, in my case, I would have said, maybe I was 4-year or 5-year-old when I first went with my father and my 2 sisters to taste ice cream. So that was a very, very emotional moment for all of us. And at that time, there was only vanilla. So we ordered 1 vanilla block, cut it into thin slices, put them on plates, and we competed with each other how to make it last longer. But my first exposure to the flavors of ice cream happened when I went to college and I went to a Baskin Robbins counter. 31 flavors, oh my God, and so on and so forth. So we say I tasted so many and I've locked on to chocolate as my current favorite flavor. I'm sure you can think of stories which will give you the ammunition to talk about your experience. Now, here is one value addition I'm doing for you. Even if it's an experiential topic, go for a reason-based expansion after that. Generalize. Now, what do you mean? Become a little philosophical about flavors. Flavor is a word in that topic. Now, after you have talked about your stories, you can say that in life is full of flavors. It's not only that ice cream has flavors, food generally has flavor, a place has a flavor. To me, Calcutta is like vanilla, Bombay is like chocolate because the taste of the place is so different. People have flavors. My mother is like tutti frutti. Sometimes she's angry, sometimes she's happy with us. And my father, she's like the dark rum, always serious. So you bring a little bit of generalization there. So the audience and the judge knows you're capable of using your reason, right? And you close by reiterating your interest. Say that was a lovely topic. It brought back so many childhood memories. And flavors, as I said, are something which life is made out of. And my friends, I appeal to you, whatever flavor comes your way, whether it's an ice cream or a person or a new place you have gone to, enjoy it to the fullest. Because without flavors, what is life? Okay. So even if it's an experiential topic, you can end in a general and a general manner, which is full of message, which is a message. So these are the two broad types of topics which will come to you. Now, let me just tell you which are the four wheels which will take you forward in table topics as you give more and more table topics. One, very important, please have courage. That batsman had the courage to come out of his room in front of the net, right? And without that, he really cannot become a batsman. So have that courage to go up and stand and trust your mind. Your mind is a very powerful instrument. Very few table topic speakers, as they get up to speak, right after hearing the topic, they don't have the full speech clear in their head. It doesn't happen that way. But as you start speaking and you use these tricks which I told you, your mind will start feeding your tongue. Yeah. So trust your mind. Homework. It is possible to do homework in table topic also. How? You know the examples? There are many table topic speakers who are advanced speakers who keep a notebook of examples. Like if it's courage, mostly it will be about some value, honesty, courage, challenges, and so on. So against each of them, they keep some example noted in a book, public example, personal story example. And they just go through it from time to time so that it's there in the back of the mind. So when your first thought comes up about honesty, the mind starts looking, oh, Gandhi and my childhood. Examples are ready. So this homework, if you take the trouble to do, you will be better prepared for speaking in table topics. And lastly, the hard work. What is the hard work here? Practice. You have to get into practice of doing table topics. Now you're a new club. Many clubs do this. They have a table topic group. And one volunteer will give a topic in the morning. And you're supposed to see the topic and immediately record a voice message back to the group saying that this is my take on the table topic. So that's practice. So one topic you're practicing every day. And maybe the person who's given the topic gives a feedback as to how it could be done better. So this hard work, if we do a little, will improve table topic delivery greatly. I'll just finish by giving an idea how to manage the time, because your contest is coming up and we don't want you running over time. So just try to keep this in mind when you're practicing. Your opening, which is just a statement, reiterating a stand, paraphrasing, 20 seconds. The expansion of reason, maybe around 40 seconds. That is, you end a minute. As you end the reason part, your green comes on. Then you have time to give two examples, 30 seconds roughly, green and yellow. And you can finish on the red, it's possible. But if you're nervous about it, you can start closing, giving that summary within the yellow itself. But definitely try to start giving the examples as you go on to the green. Otherwise, you won't be able to have the pleasure of telling your story properly. Yeah. So that's the hint for the time. Now, this is basically the presentation which I wanted to give to you today. I've not gone into too much of complexity because we are all starting on the